Game 3. The Nationals had Steven Strasburg on Friday. The Marlins, of course, had Josh Johnson last night. Christmas in July is the theme here as the Marlins try to take this series against the Nationals. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz, along with Jeff Conine, sitting in for the vacationing Tommy Hutton. This is what the Marlins wanted. They wanted an opportunity to win the series, especially after the Strasburg night on Friday. JJ came up big, and this, for the Marlins, obviously an important ball game.
Very much so. You know, the Marlins are 8-2 after a loss when JJ pitches, so he is the ace, he is the stopper. Today, Alex Sanabia tries to piece together an 80-pitch performance to get them in deep into the game, so they don't have to rely too much on the bullpen.
Well, if you're not going to rely on the bullpen, that means you got to rely on your offense, and the Marlins' offense has disappeared. Over the last 22 innings, the Marlins have not scored a lot of runs, haven't got a lot of hits, but Chris Coghlan hurt last night. Coglin's back means he's going to be on the shelf for the next couple of days. These are the swings last night. Coghlan grabbing that lower back. And it sounds like 2 or 3 days for Coghlan.
Yeah, he said he actually hurt on the first swing of that at-bat, and then by the last at-bat, it just seized up on him. It's a spasm thing. I've gone through it myself, and it takes about 3-4 days before it really calms down. So we'll see what happens with Emilio Bonifacio getting into that leadoff spot. Could be a prototypical type leadoff hitter, one of the fastest men in baseball, but he's got to really concentrate on putting that ball on the ground.
And this is a real opportunity for a guy like Bonifacio. He's going to get 2, 3, maybe 4 starts in that leadoff spot for an offense that has scored just 4 runs over those 22 innings that desperately needs a spark.
Well, he could be a spark. He could wreak havoc on the base paths. Like I said, one of the fastest guys in baseball, and I think if he gets on base a lot and gives the 2, 3, 4 guys something to drive in, this could be fun.
It's interesting listening to Alex Sanabia talk about starting in the big leagues. This kid doesn't seem to be fazed by much at all. He seems pretty calm about the whole thing.
Well, he has been very calm, and that's a good thing, because when if you succumb to the pressure at the big league level, it's gonna eat you up. But he had some very good success in the minor leagues. 5-1 with a 2.03 ERA this year. You see his stuff is very good. Sinker, a whole array of pitches. Changeup's very good. So we'll hope he can keep the Nationals in check.
Yeah, and the Marlins going with Sanabia in this one. Craig Stammen will make his 3rd start against the Fish. Niner, he's pitched well against the Fish. His ERA in the low 3s in those 2 starts, but the Marlins beat him earlier this year.
And when looking at the Marlins' overall numbers, the whole team, although limited exposure, only has 60 at-bats, 339 average against Stammen. So he has pitched well ERA-wise against the Marlins, but not very well against the rest of the league.
Because of the Coghlan injury, the Marlins made a little bit of a roster tweak last night. Mike Lamb has been designated for assignment, and Brian Peterson is back up. And so we'll see how that works for the Marlins as they need this ball game. Petey returns. The Marlins and the Nationals ready to finish this series in a big ball game in the sun in South Florida. today with Frank Ford. Frank?
Thank you, Rich. Marlins did make a roster move after last night's game, and the shuttle from New Orleans has been in full express mode throughout most of this 2010 season. Here is the roster move. Mike Lamb, who played mostly as a left-handed hitting pinch hitter, designated for assignment for the third time this year. Brian Peterson, who was up with the Marlins earlier this season, went 1 for 16, mostly as a pinch hitter. His one and only major league hit came against the Washington Nationals. The Condor is back in South Florida.
Anytime you get the call, it's an awesome experience, and it's just good to be up here, and yeah, you just kind of take it in stride.
Tough for a young guy in your role. You pinch hit a lot, and that's tough for a young guy. I mean, you didn't get any regular at-bats up here. How difficult was it to adjust to that role when you were here the last time?
Yeah, it's not an easy task, but we got guys like Wes that he's a good person to learn by, and hopefully just kind of make the best of the situation that you have, and just grind out every at-bat that you get and every opportunity.
Welcome to the big league, 6 a.m. flight from New Orleans.
Yeah, 6 a.m. kind of came early.
Tell me how you got the nickname Condor back in spring training. I don't think most people know that.
Yeah, the story kind of got blown out of proportion in my mind a little bit. I was just kind of joking around with Wes and with Mike Lamb, and just saying that, I kind of wanted a nickname, and I was like, I wanted a bird, kind of like, Hawk has a cool nickname, and I was like, yeah, something like Condor, and I said like Condor, not actually Condor, and yeah, Condor kind of stuck. So.
And Wes, all he had to do was hear that once, and that was the name.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he didn't even say hi, Petey. He just said hi, Condor. So.
Welcome back.
Thanks, I appreciate it. Okay.
Hey, that's how nicknames in Major League Baseball get started. All you have to do is have a veteran here at one time, and that's it. You're stuck with it whether you like it or not. Brian Peterson, the Condor, is back in South Florida. He hit .259 in his time at New Orleans, but his on-base was .340. He had a tough time in that pinch hitter role here with the Marlins. We'll see how he does in his second time up. But it is another rookie that the spotlight is falling on today. It's Alex Sanabia, the rookie right-hander, just 21 years old. It's a Kids Sunday. It'll be Sanabia against Craig Stammen, Rich Waltz, and Jeff Conine will be along with all the action coming up next.
By AT&T. Find out what's possible with the nation's fastest 3G network, AT&T. Rethink possible! All right, a Kids Sunday. Glad you're with us. Got some baseball here. An important game for this Florida Marlins bunch as the Fish take on the Washington Nationals. This would be Game 3 of a series. We've had brilliant pitching the first two nights. Steven Strasburg on Friday, Josh Johnson last night. And here is the lineup that 21-year-old Alex Sanabia will face Niger Morgan in center, Christian Guzman at short, Ryan Zimmerman at third. Adam Dunn leads the National League in extra base hits. A great interview with Jeff Conine on Marlins Live. The Hammer had a big hit in Game 1. Roger Bernardino is hot right now. Adam Kennedy at second. Will Nieves is behind the plate. And Craig Stammen hits ninth. This is Alex Sanabia missing to Niger Morgan. Dan Bellino, a rookie umpire, is behind the plate. Sanabia's numbers so far, this is his second Major League start. That is a strike. It's 1-1.
And you've seen one of the most important stats on that graphic that we just saw is the walks. In almost 12 innings pitched, only walked 2 guys. So he's going to put the ball in play.
That one just missed, and as you saw Morgan escape your television set there, he bolted up the first base line. And the count is 2-1. Morgan, a bundle of energy, 3 hits in this series. Sanabia runs that one outside, and he's gone 3-1 on the Nationals' leadoff hitter. Christian Guzman, Ryan Zimmerman to follow. The Nationals last night opened with a couple of hits. They had 2 hits in the first inning on Friday night. Morgan takes... Wow. Where did that miss? Let's take a look on Fox Tracks. Here's that last pitch. That's a strike.
That is a strike. The only strike he threw.
So, Dan Bellino, at least in the first hitter, has got a small strike zone. We'll see if it goes both ways. We'll see if maybe it expands as the game goes along. The result is you got a dangerous base stealer aboard in this rookie's second Major League start, and a veteran hitter in Christian Guzman awaits. Morgan bluffs. That pitch is outside.
Looks like the rookie umpire is going to have a very shoebox-like strike zone today.
Well, if that's the case, it'll be interesting to see how both Sanabia and Stammen adjust to that. Sanabia goes over to first. That obviously can play with a veteran pitcher's mind. We've seen veterans come apart when umpires are in their mind, squeezing them or don't have the strike zone that they hoped for.
Yeah, the good ones will stick with their plan and keep pounding that pitches just off the strike zone. Sometimes they start getting it, like we saw.
Runner goes. Good throw by Paulino. He's out at second base. Morgan is thrown out. Ronnie Paulino has come a long ways this year, both at the plate and behind the plate.
Doing an outstanding job defensively. You see this ball right down the middle. Great ball to run, or great ball to throw on. Right on the money. You got to throw a good throw here. Niger Morgan actually gets a pretty good jump. A great slap tag by Hanley at second base.
And a 1-1 pitch to Guzman. There's the changeup, and apparently that pitch missed as well. That pitch in the air. Bonifacio is out there, and he makes a catch. Now, we've already identified Dan Bellino's strike zone as being small. Here's that pitch on Guzman that we thought was a strike. The previous pitch, it's a changeup, and that's a strike. That was pitch number 3. So as long as it's consistent both ways.
That's all you can ask for, I guess. You wouldn't ask Sanabia that right now, and he would say it's okay if it's both ways because he wants those strikes called.
Here is Zimmerman now. And Zimmerman takes down low. Ryan Zimmerman is 2 for 8 in this series, having a Zimmerman-like season. Though last year he was over 100 RBIs, on pace to end up somewhere in the low 90s right now. Drove in 106. The breaking ball from Sanabia. That's probably his third best pitch. The fastball and the changeup are 1 and 2.
Excellent changeup. Really good movement on his fastball. You'll see him probably work both sides of the plate, try to jam righties in with the fastball like that right there. Zimmerman's a guy you said he might end up low 90s, but he's the kind of guy that when he gets hot, he will carry this Nationals team for, it could be weeks on end and pile up RBIs in a really quick rate.
2-1 coming from Sanabia. That one is hammered, and it's deep and it's foul. All right, defensively, here are the Marlins, and it's brought to you by TGI Fridays. Niner?
Bonifacio in for Chris Coughlin in left field. Cody Ross, Mike Stanton rounding out the outfield. Cantu, Ramirez, Ugla, and Sanchez in the infield. And Paulino and Alex Sanabia on the bump.
That pitch and that swing, reminiscent of last night, the 3-0 pitch that Jose Veras threw to Ryan Zimmerman with 2 on. He hit it out, but he hit it foul. And then Veras came back to strike him out, and Sanabia comes back to strike out Zimmerman. Nicely done by the rookie right-hander.
El botón del zap.
That's right. Bring your camera to the ballpark. You never know what you're going to see. The Marlins and the Nationals. Here come the Fish. Game number 91 for the Marlins. 4 under right now. With Coughlin hurt, out probably 3 to 4 days. Bonifacio leads it off. Gabby's at first. Hanley's at short. Ugla in the cleanup spot. Cantu's hit well against Washington. The Marlins would love to see his bat come to life. Cody Ross, Mike Stanton, Ronnie Paulino, and Sanabia will hit 9th. Craig Stammen is 26, the pride of Versailles, Ohio. A All-Atlantic 10 selection at the University of Dayton. And he throws a strike to Emilio Bonifacio. Bonifacio has kind of been a utility guy that hasn't been used much. So these next 3 or 4 days, his opportunity to shine.
It really is, and you talk about first and foremost is Emilio's speed. Got to be one of the fastest guys in the National League, if not all of baseball. But one thing that he's really had trouble with in his swing is getting the ball on the ground. He really needs to work on getting the ball on the ground and using that speed to his advantage.
Getting it on the ground and pitch selection and taking walks.
Critical in the leadoff spot, as well as Coughlin was hitting there for a while. Unfortunately, on-base percentage is still in the low 3s, 330. You'd love to see your on-base percentage for your leadoff guy in the high 3s.
1-2 coming. It's in the dirt. Now, the Marlins have struggled offensively in their last 22 innings. The Marlins have scored just the 4 runs, and they have just 9 hits. But they've won 2 of those games. They've had a couple of 2-0 wins. The last game against Arizona and last night. And there again is Bonifacio going after a pitch way out of the zone, and he strikes out.
Here's how the Nationals are lining up in the outfield with Willingham, Morgan, and Bernardina. Zimmerman, Juan Guzman back in his familiar spot at shortstop. Kennedy Dunn rounding out the infield, and Stammen and Nieves behind the plate, giving Pudge Rodriguez a day off on a Sunday.
Here's Gabby now. Sanchez with Hanley behind him. And Stammen delivers outside.
I said Juan Guzman. It's Christian Guzman.
Juan Guzman throws a little harder than Christian.
Quite a bit harder. Very nasty forkball.
Former Toronto Blue Jay, right?
That is correct.
Stammen misses outside. Gabby's at 2-0. So, I guess the question for the Marlins is, how do you solve the offensive problems over the last 3 ball games? That 22-inning stretch, 4 runs, just 9 hits in that stretch. And part of it is that the top of the order hasn't been getting on base. Chris Coughlin injured last night, 3 for his last 36. Gabby has hit a little bit of a rut right now. And he takes his walk. The Marlins have a base runner in front of Hanley Ramirez. And I think that's the key. Getting guys on in front of Hanley and Uggla. Your 3-4 hitters.
Get the leadoff 1-2 on for them and get them to hit with men in scoring position a little better. They've been struggling a little bit, not only the 3 and 4 spot, the Marlins as a team, batting with men in scoring position has been a problem, and thus the struggles of the offense.
Yeah, when you have 9 hits over 2.5 games, yeah, it's important to get your leadoff guys on, but it's the entire lineup that is struggling. That's the bad news. The good news, the Marlins have gone 2-3 in those games.
That's really good news, and you hope that they see that as a confidence booster and really try to build on that. Because when they do really start hitting, the pitching's been so good lately that they could really go on a long run here, which is this is a really critical stretch there in this homestand and going up to the deadline, trade deadline, July 31st. They've got to make up some significant ground.
Hanley waits on a 1-0 pitch. He drives it into center field. That's a base hit. Gabby to second. And the Marlins have runners first and second. And here's what we talked about. The Fish have something going. We'll see if they can make it pay off against Craig Stammen.
Excellent piece of hitting right here. This is a tough pitch. I don't even think that was a strike. Hanley reaches out and puts the barrel on the ball and does a great job getting it up the middle.
So Hanley is on base, and here comes Uggla. Dan is 1 for 6 in this series. Uggla against Stammen in his career, 1 for 7 with 3 strikeouts. Going into the break, Uggla, one of the hottest hitters in the National League. His last 19 games, 384. He's driven in 14 runs. That's the 3rd highest average in the National League over that span. The only guys better and hotter, Rafael Furcal and the Giants rookie sensation, Buster Posey.
What a great name, huh?
Buster Posey. Those are the leaders in July, and Uggla's 3rd on that list. Breaking ball, Uggla swings, misses, and it's 1-2. We'll get a chance to see Buster Posey on the next road trip. Marlins 4 in San Francisco, 3 in San Diego.
It's a good breaking ball by Stammen right there off the plate. Uggla, we've talked about, especially during the streak, how much of a better hitter he's become with taking those balls that are outside like that and serving them up to right field and just taking those hits. And I think we got maybe a little call right there.
Well, we talked about the strike zone, and it looks like it's small for both because that was a strike. And so both pitchers getting squeezed a bit right now. Let's see what Uggla gets 2-2. It's been a steady diet of breaking balls so far. Yep, another curveball. And Uggla goes down. So 2 strikeouts for Stammen. In between innings, Edwin Rodriguez actually came out of the Marlins dugout and had, I wouldn't say a heated discussion with Dan Bellino, the home plate umpire, but it was a pretty good discussion.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if he loosens up a little bit on those corners and starts calling some of that stuff he's calling a ball now. You often see that with umpires, and I guess they're getting loose too with their strike zone, like a player gets loose during the course of a game. And we saw that last night with Livan Hernandez on the mound. I think in the first couple innings he was not getting the calls that he thought were strikes, and toward the end, he was getting those balls off the plate called for strikes.
Last night was a fun game to watch. With Josh Johnson and Livan Hernandez, two contrasting styles. Cantu asked for time, didn't get it, and Stammen misses with a fastball. Ball and a strike. Will Nieves, who's getting the start in place of Pudge, behind the plate. So the count 1-1. Early on, it looks like the curveball has been the best pitch that Stammen has.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to be able to control the fastball yet. And he's gotten some bad swings off of some curveballs out of the strike zone, which goes to show you how good a pitch that is. Because when it's coming in 12-6 like that, you see here a good sinker on the inside part of the plate to Jorge. But sometimes you cannot pick up rotation on a curveball, and when it comes out of his hand, it's almost on the same plane as his fastball. So you're trying to make a decision, and when you start your swing, it's going down right at the strike zone.
He's 1-2 now in Cantu. Runners first and second. Came in with the same sinker. This time Cantu got a piece of it, and it's 1-2. Georgie has a couple of hits in this series, and it looks like the 4-day All-Star break has done him a little bit of good. Legs look a little fresher. He said that he feels much, much better than he did when the first half ended, and he really struggled in those last 2 or 3 weeks going into the break.
Well, it's kind of unique playing in a place like Florida, and you'll get that in Texas too, in the outdoor stadium in Arlington. That
little roller out to Guzman, and he gets the out, just getting Hanley at second. So the Marlins get a couple base runners, but leave them both, and we're scoreless. Nationals, Alex Sanabia making his second major league start. The 21-year-old out of Chula Vista, California, a suburb of San Diego. And a guy that the Marlins plucked in the 32nd round of the 2006 draft, right out of high school. Sanabia has made his climb up the system, taking the spot of Chris Volstad. And here is Adam Dunn, the lovable slugger for the Nationals. Josh Willingham and Roger Bernardina right behind him. Sanabia with a fastball at the letters, and it is 1-1. I told you a lot about Dunn throughout this series. His career. Dunn, a teammate of Jeff Conine's when they were in Cincinnati. A very lively interview on Marlins Live today with Niner and Dunn. That's one of the, I know you haven't done a lot of interviews. Had to be a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. Dunner's just a great guy to have on your team. Very jovial, always in a good mood type guy that likes to joke around, and not a bad guy to have on your team in the middle of your lineup either.
All right, here's a slice from that conversation with Adam Dunn earlier today.
This bat right here, if you notice the C in it, that stands for Conine. This is Jeff's model. He introduced me to it, I guess, in 07?
Yes, 07.
07, and a little smaller and lighter, of course, but this is a man's version. But he introduced me to this bat, and it's a career changer, man. I've got a lot of people using it now, and it's all because of my buddy Jeff.
Look at, he's laughing at that. He heard us up here in the booth.
A great sense of humor, and one of the more fun-loving guys you'll run into in the game. Willingham is up with an 0-1 count. Sanabia with a high breaking ball. It's 1-1.
Swears to this day that he should have played football instead of baseball.
He wasn't shy about that. He told you that he was a great quarterback and one of the best ever to come out of Texas.
He said didn't like to use the word good. He likes to use the word great.
Willingham, liner to left. Bonifacio back, going to play it off the wall. Let's see if he can hold Dunn at second, and he does. Nice play by Bonifacio. It turns into a single for Willingham, but it's trouble for Sanabia. Runners first and second, and nobody out.
Nice play off the wall. I mean, going here is especially for a rookie outfielder like Bonifacio, who hasn't played much left field. It's a tough transition. The wall's very close. You got to know how to play that ricochet and get the ball in. He did a very nice job of that one right there. And last night you heard, or we saw, him and Hanley having a little bit of communication problems on a pop fly there in the ninth inning. It's something that he will get with experience.
Another liner to left. Bonifacio in full flight is there and makes the catch. Good speed, good play, and that's a big out for Sanabia on Roger Bernardino.
It's also nice to have good closing speed like that.
Yes.
Had to make an adjustment there on the route there at the very end, but when you got that kind of speed, you can have a little bit of leeway on taking a bad route at the beginning.
Bonifacio is not a real polished left fielder. He's a much better center fielder. But the Marlins defensively probably better off with Cody in center and Bonifacio in left, and obviously Stanton in right. Though Stanton has played some left as well.
You're going to put Stanton where he's most comfortable, and you don't want two guys out of position in your outfield. So they'll keep Cody Ross, who's one of the better defensive center fielders in the National League in center, and Mike Stanton has played almost exclusively right field in the minor leagues. So with the one guy that's got to be out of position, it's going to be Bonifacio.
Adam Kennedy was 1 for 4 when he got the start last night. Big play last night was Kennedy trying to score from second on that ground ball that Ugla bobbled. And Ugla, in almost disbelief, watched Kennedy go from third and head to home and threw him out by about 10 feet. Adam Dunn, Josh Willingham on base. Sanabia working on a 1-1 to Kennedy, and he rolls it right in there. It's 1-2.
He's got that, what you call a front door fastball. It's got such good movement. He'll start it at the left knee or hip of a left-handed hitter, and a lot of times they'll give up on that pitch because it looks like it's going to be inside, but it actually tails over the inside corner.
Changeup, that's gorgeous. That's a great spot. If you're going to throw a changeup to a lefty, it started over the plate and it died low and outside.
Great diving movement on this changeup, and we saw in the first inning, he's not afraid to throw it to right-handed hitters either. A lot of times, right-handed pitchers will not throw their changeups to righties, and left-handers won't throw their changeup to lefties. They'll opt for their breaking ball, which actually goes away from the right-handed hitter or left-handed hitter.
Here's Will Nieves. He's kind of been Ivan Rodriguez's caddy throughout the season. Not a lot of starts. You see the 38 games. If Pudge had his way, he'd play every day.
He's been remarkable stamina for a guy that's played as long as he has. Already tops the all-time games caught list of of greats and closing in on 3,000 hits as well.
He's a little over 300 hits away from that mark. 0-1 coming. Chopper to first. Gabby's got it, and a nice escape by Sanabia after the first two reached here in the second. Till tomorrow night. So today we got Niners notes, and it's all about playing left field, a left field that you are familiar with in this ballpark.
Very familiar. See Josh Willingham actually get into a ball right here. Bonifacio knows it's going to be over his head. He knows he's going to be playing a carom off the wall, so he gets ready for it and makes a good throw to his cutoff man, which is very important. Very next batter. First two steps of this play is really what's most important. You've got to get to full speed quickly, very quickly, and then you can adjust. You can never. It's much more difficult to speed up than it is to slow down when you're tracking a fly ball. So kids, when you're going after a fly ball, the first two steps go as hard as you possibly can.
Cody Ross takes a fastball at the knees for a strike from Craig Stammen. It's Ross, it's Stanton, and it's Paulino for the Marlins, who had a couple runners aboard in the first. Both teams have had opportunities early on. And Ross swings and got a piece of it. Cody's average is dipped below 280. He's got one hit in this series, 1 for 7, but he's got company. The Marlins offensively have struggled. We documented that at the outset of the telecast. Stammen backs him up with a fastball. It doesn't get much easier tomorrow night for the Fish. They see one of the most dominant pitchers in baseball, not named Josh Johnson, and it's Ubaldo Jimenez.
I would like to go through the record books and see if anyone had a much better record than 15-1 at the All-Star break.
Niger Morgan is there, and he makes the catch. I think David Wells at one point had that. Get in on the fun of a Baker Concrete Super Saturday on the 24th. The post-game concert is with Sean Diddy Combs following the fireworks spectacular. And of course, the Braves are in town. Jason Hayward is back there. It'll be great to see a Hayward-Stanton matchup at 7:10. And fans can get a Marlins Rally drum. Niners got a garage filled with Marlins Rally drums. 1-877 Marlins. Stanton standing in. And a pitch down low from Stammen.
You see Stammen kind of starting to get a pattern here, especially on the right-handed hitters, throwing sinkers in and then going away with breaking balls. So he's trying to get those hitters to open up a little bit, trying to go after the inside fastball. Then it opens up that outside strike for his breaking ball.
There's a strike. And it still looks like Dan Bellino, the home plate umpire, has got a very small strike zone for both pitchers.
It hasn't loosened up a whole lot.
chopper, Zimmerman, off-balance throw, and that's why Ryan Zimmerman is one of the best in the business. He won a Gold Glove last year at third base. It's not an easy play.
Stanton, pretty good speed, too. Off-balance throw and right on the money. I mean, it doesn't get any more center cut than this right here.
Yeah, Dunn didn't even have to move.
And on a kid's Sunday, you know, you watch Ryan Zimmerman take ground balls during batting practice. And it's very important to take them at game speed. You've got to be used to throwing balls like that while you practice, because if you don't, when it comes game speed, you're not going to have that arm angle.
Paulino goes down and golfs that one out to center field. Niger Morgan on patrol makes the catch. Marlins go down 1-2-3 in the second. Still scoreless. DaytonaSummerFun.com. The Zephyrs are 3 under right now. Greg Norton has been named the manager for the rest of the year down in New Orleans. The Jacksonville Suns won the first half of their league. The Jupiter Hammerheads, the Greensboro Grasshoppers, and the Jammers from Jamestown. A lot of interesting prospects down there. Ozzie Martinez, the Double-A shortstop's having a very good year. You got Kyle Skipworth, who is starting to hit now, showing some power. Matt Dominguez also showing some power as well. And defensively, the third baseman is a pretty polished guy from what I've read and seen in spring training.
They say big league ready right now defensively. He can come up here and do well in the big leagues playing defense. Obviously, you know, in Double-A, he's got some work to do hitting-wise.
He's hitting about 235, but with a dozen homers, close to 50 RBIs.
Which is a great improvement for him. Last year, he struggled with the power. You know, in spring training, when you watch him, his batting practice at the big league spring training level, it's you know, he was lacking that bat speed to generate the power, and it's good to see that his power numbers are up.
Here's the 2-2 pitch. Is that the biggest jump other than minor leagues to big leagues, single A to Double-A?
Yeah, I think you really start seeing the cream rise to the top, the Double-A. A lot of times now that
soft liner into right field, and it's Craig Stammen who has a base hit to lead off the third.
A lot of times your best prospects are sent to Double-A. Triple-A sometimes is regarded as more of a holding spot for older veterans that Might be needed in emergencies, but you see more and more teams going to their Double-A teams now to call up prospects for their big league team.
Logan Morrison having a solid year in Triple-A, though he was out of the lineup last night. He fouled the pitch off his foot.
Logan Morrison will be certain to see him at sometime, maybe soon.
A base hit, and we've seen that in this series. Niger Morgan, if he gets the ball down and forces a pitcher to make a play, he's got himself a base hit.
That's just a great bunt right there. You know, Sanabia was a little bit off balance, couldn't really make a good throw. He probably made the right decision of not trying to force a play here and then creating an error that would allow the runners to move up the base.
All right, let's see how Jim Riggleman plays this, because he's got Guzman at the plate. He handles the bat very well. Got runners at first and second, and his big boppers are coming up. Zimmerman, Dunn, and Willingham. And Guzman tries to bring a bunt down. It hits him. Was he in the box? If so, it's a foul ball. If he's out of the box, he's out. And Bellino says a foul ball. Here's a look. And he was still in the batter's box.
Well, it's interesting that Guzman would be trying, it almost looks like he's trying to bunt for a hit rather than a sacrifice to get these guys over.
That's a changeup, a high changeup that started up and came back right at the letters.
Guzman reacted to that almost as if it was a left-handed curveball. He kind of did the old rocking chair there.
Guzman is a two-time All-Star, once with the Twins, once with the Nationals. Sanabia misses outside. Now Sanabia had to pitch out of trouble in the second. He had runners first and second and nobody out, and got out of it. The big difference here, the quality of hitters he's going to have to face with runners on, with Zimmerman and Dunn behind Guzman. There's a nasty changeup and a big out. Sanabia gets Guzman, and it's his third strikeout of the ballgame.
Another great changeup. Look, the bottom just drops out of that thing right in the strike zone. Guzman swings right over it. I'm a little surprised that they didn't have him bunting again. The way the Nationals have been struggling to score runs as well, you think they do whatever they could to advance those runners. So sac fly scores a run. Ground ball probably scores a run if the Marlins are playing their infield back.
So the double play is still in order, and here is Zimmerman, who struck out back in the first. And he gets hit. Sanabia with a fastball that came up and in, and that obviously isn't what Alex was thinking about, because now the bags are loaded, and you've got Adam Dunn up there.
Tried to overthrow this fastball a little bit. You'd see his fastball velocity is 88, 89, and that one was 91. I think it was trying to throw it too hard.
So now a sacrifice fly would do it. Dunn, though, in his career had a stretch where sacrifice flies didn't come easy to him. And he swings and misses at a changeup.
Remarkable stretch. I mean, you think about Adam Dunn, you don't think
Find
about...
a throw that gets by Sanabia, and the Marlins back it up. Wow, that was almost an epic disaster.
He wasn't even paying attention, and I think...
Well, Paulino just overshot the runway.
And Kid Sunday, I tell my Little League team, when they're going back to third base, you stand out there and you watch that throw back from the catcher to the pitcher just in case something like that happens.
Fastball misses inside from Sanabia, and Ronnie with the much better throw this time.
An alert base runner, if they saw that ball going as high as that, he could have taken off and he would have scored easily.
Dunn has done damage with the bases loaded in his career. And this year he is 5 for 9 and driven in 11. Waited on that changeup, and he puts it foul and out of play, but Sanabia's got him at 1 and 2. He went through a stretch, did he, where he just couldn't hit a sacrifice fly?
You would think as many fly balls as Adam Dunn hits, he's not really a ground ball type hitter, that he would have some sacrifice flies. He at one point was 0 for 50 with a man on third, less than 2 outs as far as getting a sac fly. He might have scored him some other way, but no sac flies in 50 straight at bats.
He pumps that one into the seats, and it's 1 and 2. Sanabia's got him in a spot here where he can go for the strikeout. Dunn is a guy that is susceptible to that. At one point, he had the Major League record for strikeouts in a season. He's been passed a couple times by Mark Reynolds over the last 2 seasons. But Dunn is 3rd in strikeouts in the National League. The 1-2 coming. Check swing. I think he went. He did.
Called by the home plate umpire.
Dan Bellino said Dunn went around, and that's a huge strikeout. Let's watch on Fox Exmo.
Number 16, right fielder Josh Willingham.
Definitely.
And there's the check swing. So Sanabia gets a strikeout. He needs 1 more out, but it's Willingham who has hurt the Marlins in this series. Pulls a ground ball, picked up by Cantu, and the kid gets out of it. This game is still scoreless. Having to get Dunn and Willingham with the bags loaded, and Sanabia will lead it off for the Marlins. This 21-year-old showing some guts out there.
Just for the breaking ball right there, and Adam Dunn, he can't hold that man's bat he's swinging. And then first pitch swinging, Willingham gets out of that jam, but in the process, ramped up his pitch count to 47 now, and he's only on an 80-pitch limit for this game today.
Well, but, you know, 3 innings worth, you double that. If you get 6 innings out of Sanabia, I think the Marlins would be quite happy.
They'd be very happy. I think they'd be ecstatic if they could get 6 innings out of an 80-pitch effort today.
Now, if he keeps putting guys on base like that, that's another issue. Well, Stammen got a hit off of Sanabia. That opened that last half inning, and Sanabia takes a fastball from Stammen. It's Stammen, Bonifacio, and Gabby Sanchez. Alex just 1 for 19 in Double-A, and that's the level where pitchers actually get to hit in the minor leagues. Below Double-A, it's a rule that I don't really like. Pitchers do not hit, and once you get to Double-A, it's only when 2 National League affiliates play each other.
I didn't know that about the Single-A rule that pitchers don't get to hit.
Down goes Sanabia, and we check in with Frank Ford. Frank?
All right, thanks very much, Rich. Of course, we saw Chris Coughlin leave last night's game with a lower back strain on his left side. Edwin Rodriguez saying today it's probably a 3 or 4 day injury at the least. He is not available today. In fact, Edwin pretty much ruled him out of the first 2 games of the Colorado series. So far, no MRI scheduled, just treatment. There is a possibility that if there's no improvement after those 3 or 4 days, that they could put Chris on the DL retroactive. In fact, Chris went into Edwin's office after the game last night and said did you pull me because of the injury or because I'm in a little bit of a slump? And Edwin said, no, I pulled you because of the injury. I know you're not the kind of guy to take yourself out of the game. And Chris later admitted, yeah, I'd have a hard time pulling myself out of the game. Guys, I'll present this scenario. If that DL is a possibility a couple days down the road, do we then see Logan Morrison called up? Rich?
That is an interesting question. The throw to first, and Bonifacio trying to bunt, sending it right back to Stammen, and that's an easy out. There are 2 outs in the 3rd inning. If Coughlin's injury were obviously a disabling injury, and they had to put him on the disabled list for 15 days, there's a chance that you might see Logan Morrison rather than Brian Peterson as somebody to play left field every day.
He primarily first baseman through the first half of this year, and they got him in the outfield and really started to work on his outfield play because, in part because of this man's excellent job he's done this year at first base and at the plate, Gabby Sanchez. So they've been getting Logan Morrison some time out in left field just to get him exposed to that situation in case it might arise that something like this may happen. And, Chris Coughlin, I was talking to him last night after the game, and he said this happens usually about once a year. He tweaks his back a little bit, it sends it into a spasm, and it takes 3-4 days for it to calm down.
Wow, that's a check swing strike, Tony Randazzo, and it's 1-2. That was a strike anyway, and look at pitch number 2, which was called the ball. That was a strike as well. So the count's 1-2. He muscles that one into left field. And Gabby is aboard for the 2nd time in this ball game. Well, the Colorado Rockies right now in the middle of the wild card hunt. The Rockies just a half game behind the Giants and the Cardinals, who are the wild card leaders. Ubaldo Jimenez will pitch tomorrow night. So it's a great time to come out and see one of the premier pitchers in all of baseball. He's 15-1. $5 Subway seats available. Tuesday, you got the 2 for Tuesday. Remember, Thursday is camp day, and that is a 12:10 start. And that will be a Josh Johnson start on camp day.
One knock that Gabby Sanchez had him a little bit, I think, was that he wouldn't be able to handle the inside pitch. He takes a fastball right here, and you see him pull his hands in. You see that little alligator arm action there and get enough of the barrel to get that ball in left field. And early on, I think everyone was worried about if he'd be able to pull the ball, pull that inside pitch, because he was such a good right field hitter. He's made great strides in that department, I think.
I like the term alligator arm.
Alligator arm. Yeah, it was often thrown at me because I can't straighten out my arms because of whatever surgeries and trauma that I've had. They called me alligator arm because I got these short little arms inside.
He was a reliever in the big leagues, the Angels and the Mariners. Shigetoshi Hasegawa, who was called Gator because he had short arms. 2-0 coming. Hanley swings at a breaking ball, and the count's now 2-1.
That was almost the identical pitch that Hanley got his base hit the first time up. Good slider on the outside part of the plate.
Couple hits in this series. You see Hanley's average now right at 300. But Stammen's been tough, and he's pitched well against the Marlins in his 2 previous starts this year. Hanley pulls one. Zimmerman. Man, he makes it look easy over there at third base. He gets Gabby at second, and we are still scoreless. uniform. Accounts and descriptions of the game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Marlins. Our good friends at South Florida Ford. You see that target out there in left field. That ball's not going to find it. But before every ball game, a Ford F-150 truck circles the ballpark, and if any player hits that target out there in left field, that fan will win that truck. And it's been a promotion going on all year long. Of course, South Florida Ford, a big contributor to the fantasy auction this year, one of our sponsors, along with Tommy Bahama, Roger Bernardina, Adam Kennedy, Will Nieves. Here in the fourth in a scoreless game. And Alex Sanabia snaps off a breaking ball that misses inside. That was pitch number 50 for Sanabia, who's on a limit of right around 80. And the reason he's on that limit is the Marlins had him relieving as a short reliever after he was starting in Double-A, and they want to ramp him back up rather than just say, go out there and throw 100, kid. They want to gradually build the arm strength back up.
I think they know they've got something pretty good here, and he's got the stuff, as we've seen so far. He's gotten into some trouble, but the quality of his stuff is good enough to get him out of those jams. So they see something that they want to build up and possibly be an impact starter in the Marlins rotation.
All right, speaking of Tommy Bahama, if you're into Tommy Bahama, today's a good day to go there here in South Florida and buy something, because all day today, Tommy Bahama has been nice enough to donate 10% of all sales to the Marlins Community Foundation. The two Fort Lauderdale locations, Las Olas and the Las Olas Relax location, Meisner Park and Village of Merrick Park. So up in Boca and down in Coral Gables as well. Those two locations, all day today, 10% of anything you buy at those Tommy Bahama stores goes to the Marlins Community Foundation. And tonight on Las Olas, at the Las Olas location from 6 to 9, there'll be a nice little function there. Maybe a few Marlin players stop by to say hello, and I'll be there to consult any fashion dilemmas you have, any questions about Tommy Bahama stuff. We'll be there to answer those questions.
Because you are the, unbeknownst to probably all of our fans, the fashion coordinator of the broadcast crew. Yeah. Text messages fly on mornings of broadcast telling us what we should wear. And
it's a heavy burden, but I bear it.
And you bear it well, I must say.
I try to wear it well, but here's the 2-1 to Kennedy. And he hits a high fly ball out to center. Cody Ross makes the catch. All right, Niner, time to flip the phone. Not yours, but the AT trivia question. 1986 National League Comeback Player of the Year. He is here today. So that means in 1985, he was either hurt or had a real bad year. Because to be the comeback player of the year, you have to come back from someplace. Nieves is up. Well, let's look at the Nationals coaching staff. That's usually a good place to start. Steve McCatty, Pat Listash, who was the Rookie of the Year. That's about the only.
How about their broadcast crew?
How about Ray Knight? Who was here filling in for Rob Dibble.
How about that?
Bob Carpenter had a real good year in 1985, so there's no way Carpy could have been the comeback player of the year or comeback broadcaster of the year. Nieves with the count 1-2. Broken bat, and Sanabia a nice, clean fourth inning. 1-2-3 go the Nationals in a scoreless duel in the sun in South Florida. for great offers by Checkers, Little Place, Big Taste, and by Bluebell Ice Cream. Bluebell reminds you that July is National Ice Cream Month. Discover Bluebell's newest flavor, Caramel Kettle Crunch, and pop some in your mouth now. Our crack staff and our crew here at Fox Sports Florida supplied with Bluebell ice cream throughout the weekend. A gorgeous shot of the Magic City in Miami. The Marlins, of course, will be headed much closer to downtown in 2012. And that downtown skyline will be visible from all over the ballpark.
Can't wait.
Park.
Can't wait.
It's one of the things that separates the new park, the retractable roof park, from other retractable roof parks. Ugla struck out his first time up, and he's behind in the count just like that, 0-2. You think about the retractable roof stadiums up in Toronto and Seattle, in Houston, and in Arizona. The one thing you can't see is the downtown skylines of those cities. But that will not be the case in the Marlins' new ballpark. If the roof is open, you'll have a clear view of it. Roof is closed, that huge glass panel, you'll still be able to see right out into the skyline. And the new ballpark is, what, about 10, 11 blocks from downtown?
Yeah, it's unique when they construct this.
Nice play by
Great
Stanley.
play.
Ugla is out. All right, Niners notes on a Kid Sunday.
A couple of good swings to look at here. Hanley Ramirez in that first inning. Really good slider on the down and away part of the plate. Key is he stays up the middle. His whole body stays square to the pitcher. Gabby, same thing. He doesn't open up too soon, but watch him use his hands. He pulls his hands in to get the barrel of the bat on the ball. Very important there, kids.
So kids, alligator arms on an inside pitch.
That is my professional advice right there, alligator arms. If you've ever seen an alligator, you see those short little arms they have. It's very effective on inside pitches.
Jorge Cantu and Cody Ross. It's another way as well, whether you're a right-handed or a left-handed hitter, to be able to hit an inside pitch and keep it fair, rather than if you have full extension, more times than not, you're going to yank it foul.
Exactly. It's called casting the bat. You cast the barrel out around the strike zone and thus hook it foul on an inside pitch rather than stay inside the ball with your hands and keep it fair.
Jorge Cantu swings and misses. Time to flip the phone. 86 National League Comeback Player of the Year. He is here today. And it is Ray Knight. 86 World Series MVP. 85 hit just .218. Cody Ross drives one into right field. Marlins have a hit. Now they have only 3 in this ball game. If you want to go back the last almost 3 games now, the Marlins have gone 25 and 2/3 innings, have a grand total of 12 hits, and have scored only 4 runs. Now they are 2-1 in those 3 games leading into this one, but still a real dry spell for the Fish.
They should feel very fortunate they have 2 wins in that span. When you get shut down offensively like that, you got to tip your cap to your pitching staff because they're holding them to less than you're scoring.
Mike Stanton takes a breaking ball outside, and it's 1-0. Stanton robbed of a hit by Ryan Zimmerman, who has made 2 very nice plays at third base today.
Looked like he was out in the backyard just flipping the ball around, didn't it? It was a major league play to second base. It's actually a pretty difficult play, and he flipped it over there like it was nothing.
Cody's back over. Ross has added a little bit of speed to his game this year. He's stolen 8 bases. And that's a career high for Ross.
Really? I would have guessed more than that.
Stanton checked his swing, but it's a called strike. It's 1-1. Wind is kicking up down on the field. Look at that. The Marlins, there are a lot of teams in the East that all of a sudden are having trouble scoring runs. 1-1 coming. Stanton rips that one. Foul. You don't want to get hit by a Mike Stanton foul ball, that's for sure. You've got Atlanta, who's lost 2 in a row. The Brewers have come into Atlanta and beaten them twice. You got the Mets, who have lost 3 in a row. They're struggling out on the West Coast.
Very poor timing on the Marlins' struggles right now, with the rest of the National League East struggling as well.
Well, the Marlins open play 9.5 back of first place Atlanta. The Braves are here to finish this homestand. But in the wild card, 7.5 back. The problem is all the teams between the top and the Marlins. The Cardinals and the Giants are 50 and 41 wild card leaders. Then you got Colorado, the Dodgers, the Phillies, and the Mets. The Rockies a half game back, the Dodgers a game back, the Phillies a game and a half back, and the Mets 2 back in what is going to be a very wild card race.
Yeah, it's not good when you've got 2 teams in your own division that you've got to leapfrog just to get to the wild card race.
Ross is running, Stanton is hitting, and he fouls it off. That being said, I think one of the frustrations for the Marlins this year, and Larry Beinfest and Michael Hill have talked about it, and the Marlins players have talked about it. The Marlins really haven't gone on a real hot run yet. You know, a 2-week span where they win 10, 11 games.
Yeah, it's kind of the treading water plan they've had so far. They'll win 2, lose 2, win 3, lose 4, and they haven't gone on a sustained streak. Or on the other side, win 3, lose 1, win 4, lose 1. Seems like they back up their winning streaks, albeit short ones, with the same length losing streaks.
I think the frustrating thing with the organization is that this core of players has been involved. You go back even to 2006, when they were the first team to be 20 games under 500 to get to 500 in the season. And then in 2008 and 2009, they both of those teams had some nice runs that got them over 500 and kept them in the race in September.
Remember last year started 11-1 to start the season.
And then a disastrous May. Ross running, pitch in the dirt. Cody's got another stolen base. Always love that stolen base where you don't have to slide.
And there's another for Kids Sunday. You don't have to have blazing speed in order to steal bases. You see Cody Ross gets a great jump here. He peeks in to see what's going on at the plate, if it's a pass ball, if it's a ball put in play. And if you get good jumps and you can read pitchers, you're gonna be able to steal bases. And also, you know, the managers, on the other hand, some really like to run, and they give green lights to guys who are unexpected base stealers, and you can steal bases in unexpected situations.
See what Stanton gets, 3-2 now. Breaking ball, and he takes it. And Mike Stanton works a walk. He's going to bring up Ronnie Paulino.
When I was in Baltimore, Mike Hargrove loved to let guys that weren't particularly fast steal bases. You know, the guys that he felt had an idea of how to steal bases. He would put a sign in the dugout somewhere. Not a sign like steal now, but he would leave like one of the phone boxes for the bullpen phone. He would leave one of those boxes open. If I looked in and saw that box open, I had the green light to steal that pitch. Or he would have one of the trainers put a towel on his shoulder for that pitch. If I looked in and saw the trainer with a towel on his shoulder, I had the opportunity to steal a base that pitch.
I think for many people, the surprise in that story is that signs coming from the dugout aren't always the manager touching his ear, nose, chin, going through those gyrations. It's as simple as something like that.
And, you know, it's something that's there and visible at any time, so, you know, you're not telegraphing to the other team that you're actually getting a sign. You can just, as you're going back to first base, glance over, and if you see whatever it was that day, you could go ahead and go.
Well, the count's 1-0. First base isn't open, but there is a base open, and Sanabia is on deck. And so Stammen can be careful with Paulino. And it looks like he's doing just that.
I don't think you're going to see Ronnie getting much to hit at this at-bat.
Paulino has a hit in each game of this series. And, of course, yesterday, this was the big one. And if there's a guy in the Marlins lineup that is pretty good at going out of the zone and getting something to hit, Paulino may be that guy, and this may be a situation where anything close to 2-0, he may be hacking. Look how far Nieves is set up outside. Now it's 3-0.
I bet she's got the green light.
I was just about to say that. If ever there's a spot for the green light, it's here. Ooh. Wow.
A collective sigh in the broadcast booth here.
You got a 3-0 pitch with a pitcher on deck.
This is pretty much center cut, middle away, just like Ronnie likes it. Some guys can't hit 3-0. I very seldom ever would swing at a 3-0 pitch because it was a difficult count for me to justify making it out on. So I felt if I'm going to swing 3-0, you either swing and miss or you hit a home run.
And so you weren't comfortable hitting 3-0?
I was not comfortable hitting 3-0, so 99.9% of the time I would take that 3-0 pitch, even though I had the green light most of the time.
So the Marlins have the bases loaded. However, Sanabria, who has one hit in his professional career, was he 1 for 19 in Double-A, stands in. He was a strikeout victim and an easy strikeout victim in the third. So let's see if Stammen goes right after him. He threw him a first pitch slider.
Fish hit a couple last at bat, and pitchers don't forget. They don't forget what you're swinging at and missing. So he doesn't want him to put the ball in play right here. He's going to try to strike him out.
Boy, that 3-0 pitch to Paulino looms pretty large right now.
And that's something like when a player is uncomfortable but hitting in that 8 spot, the manager might want to tell him prior to, if you've got a situation where they're trying to pitch around you, go ahead and take a chance.
Sanabria, nice job laying off that breaking ball. 1-2. Stammen's pitch count approaching 70. He's got 68. Sanabria has thrown 60. Here in the bottom of the fourth, bags loaded. Breaking ball struck him out. And so the Marlins leave him loaded here in the fourth. Just for men hair color. Rockies arrive tomorrow. Ubaldo Jimenez 15-1 with a 2.20 ERA is on the bump, and we'll start our broadcast night at 6:30. Go further down that calendar on the 22nd. That is a camp day. That's a noon start. That's a Josh Johnson start. We look forward to the Marlins schedule. You can live forward with Just for Men hair color. Looks like a good spot to watch a game. A cool tub, not in right field, with a cold drink. It is the Subway 5th inning, home of the $5 footlong. Play hard, eat fresh. Stay cool. Sanabia throws a strike. Rick Stammen is up. The Nationals have had opportunities. The Marlins have had opportunities.
And you see down the Marlins bullpen with Sanabia's pitch count at 62 now, a little bit of activity, or as Mike Redmond used to say, you got the exercise bike going.
There's the changeup and a strike, and that does it for Stammen. Up comes Morgan and Guzman. Our partners at Bluebell Creameries want to remind you that July is National Ice Cream Month, and today is National Ice Cream Day. Look at our crew. And they're going hog wild with the Bluebell ice cream. So pick out some caramel kettle crunch and pop Bluebell ice cream and enjoy. Did you know in 1984, President Ronald Reagan designated July as National Ice Cream Month? It's the third Sunday of the month as National Ice Cream Day. Apparently the frozen yogurt lobby in Washington pushing for their own month, but right now it's ice cream month, baby, and it's ice cream day. And the good folks at Bluebell, as you saw, were kind enough to, and I don't know if they're coming back after what happened. They brought Bluebell ice cream for everybody, and it never got past the production truck downstairs.
It was a frenzy.
Yes,
it was chaos, utter chaos.
That is
production truck.
Good way to put it. Christian Guzman has flied out and has struck out. And Alex Sanabia on a nice little run right now. He's retired 7 straight. And on an 80 pitch count, he's at 66 pitches. So if he can get this out here quickly, you got a chance to maybe bring him back out in the 6th.
I think Marlins going into this game on a best case scenario, we're looking at 5 innings. 6 would be outstanding if he could get him through the 6th inning.
Well, not only almost 5 innings, but right now shutout innings. The Nationals have just 3 hits. Sanabia has struck out 5. He's walked 2. Ground ball right side. Gabby gobbles it up, steps on the bag. 8 in a row retired by Sanabia. A 9-pitch inning. He may have another one left in him. Hi. The Flying Luchadores. How far did they fly? Actually, a lot further than people thought they would. Red Bull, a nice sponsor of ours, and the Flying Luchadores, some of who are members of our crack staff and production team. The Luchadores, there they go. I believe that is Senor Pete as the lead pilot. And you know what? That's a pretty nice move. Some of those guys go right off the ramp and go straight down, but look at him. He waits for the right time, Niner. He got a good lift off, good separation. Much like a good ski jumper. And that one sneaks down the line, and Bonifacio races around first, and the Marlins have their leadoff man aboard. And Bonifacio, who is 0 for 2 before that ground ball, puts himself in scoring position with nobody out here in the 5th. And finally, Niner, our checkers double in the game.
Watch him go. Gets the ball on the ground, and good things happen. Dunner, not the most fleet of foot first baseman over there. Sneaks it by him. Now let's see if we can get somebody to third base with less than 2 outs.
Gabby Sanchez has walked and has singled Craig Stammen into his 5th inning, and he's been outstanding. 5 strikeouts. Just the 4 hits. This is a spot where, and Edwin Rodriguez has talked about it, with Gabby Sanchez, in trying to move a runner from second to third, there are times where Gabby himself will square to bunt because he at times doesn't feel comfortable trying to shoot it to the right side.
Well, all you're trying to do here is middle away, get a middle away pitch, and something off speed is
like that. Driving into right center field. That's in there. It's to the wall. Here comes Bonifacio. And Gabby pulls in with a double. Like that a lot more than a sacrifice bunt.
I love that one. But when you got a plan of hitting it to the right side of the field and not just giving yourself up and slapping it over there, but driving it to that side, you've got a chance to do this, which is get an extra base hit or get a hit to score that guy so you're on base for the next guy to knock you in.
Bonifacio scoring easily. And so it's 1-0, and the Marlins have the same situation now. Runner at second and nobody out. Gabby continues to lead a lot of categories for National League rookies this year. Including doubles, those 22 doubles, tops for all rookies. Hanley trying to go to the right side, and that ball is going to peel foul.
That's good to see when you've got a team struggling to score runs like the Marlins have been. I think you need everybody on board to do things like that, to get that runner over so your teammate behind you can hopefully knock somebody in.
So when your best player is on board.
This is a team. It's a team thing. When everybody's struggling like they are, you need everybody on board to hopefully manufacture some runs.
Hanley drives it to right field. Bernardino over, makes the catch. Gabby is tagging and running. Here's the throw, and he's in there. Nicely done.
Excellent job by Hanley Ramirez to get a deep enough fly ball to the right side to move him over.
And Hanley had that same approach. It was a good read by Gabby because with Bernardino going to the line, it's a tough throw.
I think if there was more of a fly ball right at him and he had a little bit of time to get behind it, he probably would have thrown Gabby out right there on an online throw, but Gabby made a good read, an aggressive play to get in scoring position, get to that third base with less than 2 outs.
Now here's the other part of the bargain, though. If you give yourself up like Hanley did, you need the guy behind you to pick you up, and that's Ugla with the infield in. Dan, little chopper, it's off his foot. Gabby was coming home. Ugla inspects the damage, and the count is 0-1. It has been a tough day for Ugla against Stammen. He struck out in the first, and he bounced back to the mound in the fourth. And the breaking ball, Stammen's best pitch so far today, has been the one that's given Uggla fits.
And you're right about see if we can get him in now with a sac fly. You love it when a plan works out. You got a guy with nobody out at second base. You move him over, you get a sac fly, and everybody's happy.
Just the fact that the Marlins are on the board is a good thing. But here's the opportunity to stretch it to 2-0. Uggla has improved his average with runners in scoring position over the last month. Right now, the Marlins would take a productive out. That's way outside. Uggla was under 200 and right around 200 for much of April and May. With runners in scoring position, he's now at 287. There's Gabby. Nope, didn't offer.
Good take right there, good take. That's a pitch that he swung at the first 2 at-bats.
Uggla this year has walked 45 times, and that is tops on the Marlins. Well, he got the high fastball and just missed it. Now it's 3-2. Was that a show-me fastball setting up a 3-2 breaking ball?
It's kind of been his plan so far. Show me a fastball, middle in, and then go away with the breaking ball. That's what he does here.
Infield is in. 3-2. Fastball, ground ball to the shortstop. Here comes Gabby. Here's the throw. He is out at the plate. Nieves made the catch and the tag. So Gabby was moving on first contact. Guzman made a clean throw. And up comes Cantu. Nice pick by Guzman.
Yeah, Gabby had no chance right there. You say going on contact was as a runner at third base. As soon as you hear the crack of the bat, you're supposed to take off. They're going to take a chance on knowing, well, on a ground ball that'll maybe go to one side or the other of the infielder, and with an aggressive base runner, make it a tough play. But that was right at him, and Gabby had no chance.
So it's Cantu now with Uggla at first. Cantu has bounced into a fielder's choice and then went down swinging in the fourth. Stammen has 5 strikeouts. He's walked 3.
And maybe with a Cantu of earlier this season that seemed to be getting base hits in big situations all the time, maybe you don't send Gabby right there.
That's a good point. And so much of what a third base coach does is predicated on the lineup, not only who's coming up, but as you pointed out, how those guys are swinging it.
If you've got a guy coming up that you know is struggling to get the ball, put the ball in play, might be striking out a lot, you're going to take a chance on the bases with who's ever up at that plate at that time. With Jorge struggling a little bit, you know, you take a chance on a ground ball that might be to one side or the other and try to squeak out a run that way.
Action in both bullpens. Peralta in the Nationals bullpen. In the Marlins bullpen, Brian Sanchez up.
We saw that with a 3-0 count with Ronnie Paulino at the plate with Sanabria coming up the next hitter. You know, in normal situation, it's tough to tell someone to swing 3-0, but that might be something you tell your hitter before he goes up to the plate. Like, if anything close, you got to be hacking.
Stammen has buried 2 fastballs after getting ahead 0-2, and he's missed inside with both of them.
Wouldn't be surprised to see a breaking ball away here after two fastballs in.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Uggla on the move either. It's a breaking ball count almost. There he goes, and Cantu fouls it back. That's a great example of you pick your spots to run, and if you have pretty good feeling that Stammen's going to throw a breaking ball, it's a great time to run.
Plus, you're trying to make something happen. There's 2 outs. You know, a ball in the gap would score a guy from first base that's on the move, stealing. Even a long single might score a guy from first that's on the move.
Let's see if he's running again. 2-2. Nope. Cantu, broken bat, and a 1-hopper. Guzman takes care of Uggla. Marlins on the board, and they do it with a pair of doubles. Emilio Bonifacio sneaks one by Adam Dunn, and then Gabby punches one in the gap. 1-0.
Español vía Zap y es presentado por KFC.
Good to be at the ballpark. Marlins, Nationals. 1-0 game. And a big inning for Alex Sanabia. His last inning. He's on an 80-pitch limit, and that was number 70. He gets Zimmerman, Dunn, and Willingham, and this trio came up in that 3rd inning. One of his big escape innings. The 2nd and the 3rd were the innings that Sanabia wriggled off the hook. In both of those innings, the Nationals got the first 2 runners on of the inning. In fact, in the 3rd, they had the bags loaded with 1 out.
Kind of illustrates what kind of stuff Sanabia is working with out there. He doesn't have an overpowering fastball by any means. He's 88 to 91. But his equalizer pitch is that excellent changeup that he throws to both lefties and righties, and it's gotten him out of some big jams today.
He hit Zimmerman in that inning. In fact, since he hit Zimmerman, he's retired all 8 that he's faced. But he's gone 3-1 on a dangerous guy who can certainly tie this game up with 1 swing. Got in on him, and a bloop shot is going to land in center field for a base hit. A good pitch with a base hit. We check in with Frank Ford. Frank?
All right, thanks very much, Rich. The guy coming to the plate now, Adam Dunn, who talked to Jeff Conine in Marlins Live. One of the most remarkably consistent hitters in Major League Baseball over the past 5 seasons. From 2005 to 2009, he averaged just a shade under 40 homers, just over 100 RBIs, and 113 walks a season. In fact, 4 straight years, he hit exactly 40 homers until he hit 38 last year. He's the Major League leader in walks over that time period, and also 4th in all of Major League Baseball in home runs. With 22 homers, 59 batted in this year, he is on pace to continue those numbers. And yeah, he does strike out a lot, 173 times a year over that 5-year time period. But Rich and Jeff, the sabermetrics people can't crush him totally because the on base is so good.
0-1 coming with the infield shift on. And Jeff, he told you something interesting when you asked him about the rise in his batting average this year and a dip in his walk rate.
Yeah, he said he's being a lot more aggressive early in the count. You see him in previous years take a lot of pitches, some of them strikes, just to see pitches and get deep in counts. And now he's putting those balls in play a little bit more early in the count. And he told me with the shift that most teams play on him, there's no one on the left side of the infield basically, and he's gotten, in his estimation, 15 or so hits just by taking an outside pitch and just trying to fillet it over into left field.
No fillet there, just a deep fly ball. Runner is tagging. Zimmerman is on his way to second and then stops as Cody makes a strong throw from center field.
Heads up play there by an outfielder. Sometimes with a fly ball to center field or right field, you don't think that runner's going to tag up, so you just kind of lob it in, and a good base runner will take advantage of that and steal a base on you.
Pitch count on Alex Sanabia now at 78. It's not like, well, here comes Edwin Rodriguez. He is going to bring in some bullpen help. And Sanabia hasn't quite reached that pitch count, but a terrific day. Ryan Sanchez on his way out for this 21-year-old out of Chula Vista. An outstanding effort. Here's our Marooney. Call to the 10. On an 80-pitch limit because he'd been in the bullpen as a short reliever, was outstanding here against the Washington Nationals. Worked himself out of 2 jams and gave his ball club so far 5 1/3 scoreless innings. That's the last out he gets. A fly ball from Adam Dunn. And Sanabia heads to the dugout. 78 pitches. The Nationals don't have a run, but Sanabia is responsible for Zimmerman at first. And Brian Sanchez comes in to face Josh Willingham. You got Roger Bernardina and Adam Kennedy right behind him. First pitch fastball from Sanchez. I think Hammer was sitting on that changeup.
They were very strict about that 80-pitch limit. They were not going to let him go over that.
As well, Willingham has had a couple of good swings against him. Willingham is 1 for 2. Sanchez misses outside.
Sanchez and Sanabia, similar pitchers. I don't think Brian's got as good a sinker as Sanabia, but the changeup is probably his best pitch, and both of those guys have excellent ones. Sanchez changed a little more of a split
than Sanavia's, which is more of that traditional circle change?
Yeah, it's got more movement. Sanavia's has more movement down and away or down and into a right-hander, where Brian's is more just down. It's gets to the strike zone and the bottom drops out.
Zimmerman's at first. Sanchez steps off. Even though this year Zimmerman has just one stolen base, he's one of those veteran guys where if you sleep on him, he might just take second. There's the fork. It's a good pitch. It's 1-2.
Another right-hander that doesn't mind throwing it to right-handed hitters. We haven't heard that term in a while, fork ball. Used to call it a fork ball before the split finger became the term of choice.
Was it Bruce Sutter, I guess, that really made that pitch famous? Roger Craig was a guy, a pioneer in that pitch. He had a lot of the Detroit Tigers pitchers throwing it in their glory years when he was the pitching coach for Sparky Anderson. Then when he went to San Francisco and was the manager there, a lot of the Giant pitchers got that split finger, that fork ball.
He really turned around a lot of careers too with that pitch.
Sanchez over to first, and Zimmerman's back in.
And the popularity of that pitch, I think, with pitchers is that it's a little bit easier on your arm than a breaking ball. You're not really breaking your wrist and torquing your elbow area, trying to bend with a breaking ball. You're throwing it basically the same as a fastball, just different grip and throwing it as hard as you can.
There goes Zimmerman, and Hammer pulls it deep, but foul.
Zimmerman got a great jump on that ball with that delivery.
That was a hanger.
That was a hanger.
And that pitch you don't want to throw again to Josh Willingham.
Depending on the grip of that split finger also, some guys choke it in between their fingers more than others, which is more like a traditional forkball, and that almost has a knuckling action on the way to the plate and it really drops, but you can tell not as much spin on that, where others, like Roger Clemens, when he threw his split, it was more like a two-seam, it almost acted like a two-seam sinker. It was about 5 or 6 miles an hour slower than his fastball, but it really had some good action at the end.
You put it further back in your fingers, don't you get more of a tumbling action at the plate?
Yeah, tumbling almost like knuckleball. If you watch Jose Contreras, and he throws that traditional forkball and just sticks it back in there as far as he can and throws it as hard as he can.
Sanchez rears back and throws it as hard as he can and strikes out Josh Willingham. That's what happens when you throw a hitter like Willingham a steady diet of splits in the mid to high 70s. An 89-mile-an-hour fastball gets by you.
In a hurry. That ball looked like about 95, I'm sure, to Josh Willingham.
Sanchez gets an important out. Now he has to get Bernardina. Zimmerman is still at first. Last year was a breakout year, really, for Sanchez, who had spent time in the big leagues and some time with the Washington Nationals, also with Philadelphia. But he flourished in the Marlins bullpen last year.
I was a teammate of Brian's in Philadelphia in 2006.
And he's a guy, the Marlins have always seemed to be able to find one or two guys like Sanchez, give him an opportunity in the bullpen, and have it pay off for him. They've always been able to do that, except for this year. This was the season, spring training, where the McDougals and the Turnbows and guys that they brought in, they were hoping to catch lightning in a bottle with at least one of those guys, and it never quite panned out.
Last year, in addition to Sanchez, Kiko Calera was outstanding out of the bullpen.
Zimmerman running again, swing and a miss from his knees. Paulino not in time. As we told you, Zimmerman a good base runner, doesn't steal a lot of bases, but when you need it, he can get you one.
Outstanding throw by Paulino from his knees. Great jump by Zimmerman. Another great shot by the Exmo camera. Clearly safe.
And it gives Bernardina a chance to drive in a run, but it's a 1-2 count. Sanchez. This is out with the fastball. 2-2.
Sanchez, another guy with a very deceptive delivery. He doesn't have overpowering stuff. 89 on his fastball. You see the forkball grip there. Split finger grip, whatever you want to call it. But good deception because he gets a lot of bad swings. Just like that one.
Brian Sanchez strikes out Willingham and Bernardina, and the Marlins hang on to this 1-0 lead. Corona today by Salt in theaters July 23rd. By TGI Fridays, celebrate summer with the new Caribbean menu. Only at TGI Fridays. And by Bluebell Ice Cream. Bluebell reminds you, July is National Ice Cream Month. Discover Bluebell's newest flavor. Caramel, kettle, crunch, and pop some in your mouth. Another tight ball game. The Marlins have been in a lot of them lately. And this is a 1-0 game in the bottom of the 6th. A relaxing day at the beach for that couple, and a good day at the ballpark for over 21,000 as Cody Ross swings and misses at a Craig Stammen breaking ball. Alex Sanabria, one of the stories for the Marlins so far. Sanabria, the 21-year-old rookie, making just his second big league start on a pitch count as he's come out of the bullpen. And he used all of his 78 pitches and used them well. 5 1/3 innings for Sanabria. No runs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. Sean Burnett has joined Joel Peralta in the Washington bullpen. Ross fouls that pitch off. On the other side, Craig Stammen has been really good, and it keeps the theme going that Stammen has pitched well against the Marlins, but hasn't had a lot of support. This is his 3rd start against the Fish. His ERA is under 3, and yet he's 0-1 against the Marlins this year.
You look up at that 5.56 ERA that he's got in the season this year, and he sure hasn't pitched like that today.
No. This is start number 16 for Stammen. He is not a rookie. He made 19 starts last year with the Nationals. Cody Ross, Mike Stanton, Ronnie Paulino here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Cody has flied out, singled, stole a base, and that breaking ball at times has been devastating. Our road ahead. Hope you're with us tomorrow night. I know you'll be with us tomorrow night. Brought to you by Mercedes. Ubaldo Jimenez, Anibal Sanchez, 7 o'clock start. Be there. Then you got Rockies on Tuesday, Wednesday. JJ gets the start high noon on Thursday, camp day. And then the Braves come in for a weekend series. Stanton now. Yanks one foul. Wow, that's a heck of a play. A fan standing up above the bullpen down there. I don't think he even had a glove when he made that catch. That was impressive. He had 2 kids to protect. And he did. Slow roller as the rain starts here. And Stanton is thrown out. Niner, first order of business, when you've got kids at a ball game, you have to protect them. Wow, look at that. He protects the kids. He makes the play.
Like it was nothing. He'll be feeling that tomorrow, I guarantee it.
Like a major leaguer, he looked at the label, read the signature of Bud Selig, and then presented it to the kids.
All a day's work at the ballpark.
And yet you'll see a major leaguer on a line drive like that drop one with the glove. Paulino cranks one down the line. It's fair. Let's see if he can get to second. It hangs up in the corner, and that allows Paulino to get there. Sometimes that ball rockets out of the corner. This one, with a little bit of funny English, stayed in that corner.
Didn't like Josh Willingham attacked that ball too aggressively down the line. Ronnie does a great job of getting his hands inside this inside fastball.
It hit a seam.
Hit a seam and kind of checked up.
Yep.
If it hits one in the middle of those pads, it's like a springboard almost. It will come way back out, and that allowed Paulino to get to second base fairly easily.
Donnie Murphy now is going to get a pinch hitting spot as he comes in Sanchez's position. What a great effort by Brian Sanchez. A strike. Jose Veras in the bullpen. It's in the air, and Bernardina has to look up into the rain and make the catch. Marlins lead Polito in scoring position on to the 7th, 1-0. Coors Light freeze can time. A little love to Ronnie Paulino, who throws out Niger Morgan on the money. That set the tone in the first inning. That helped out Alex Sanabia. And a nice play by Ronnie Paulino. Our Coors Light freeze can. A little bit of rain, but no worries. Actually probably cools everybody off on a hot day at the ballpark. Well, we saw Sanabia go 5 1/3. Sanchez strike out the 2 guys that he faced in the 6th. And so the Marlins are going to Jose Veras, who has been very dependable as of late. Veras, the former Yankee. You know, the frustrating thing right now, and it can be both a frustrating thing and quite a good thing if the bats get going. Right now, the Marlins' middle relief is pretty good. Sanchez is back to being where he was last year. Hensley is back to being where he was at the start of this year. Veras has been a godsend, so to speak. And Nunez seems to have ironed out his little issues.
When you look at the woes of Marlins offense lately and being able to win 2 out of the last 3 games, it's coming from somewhere, and it's pitching. And the middle relief has done an excellent job of contributing to that.
Adam Kennedy, Will Nieves, and then the pitcher spot for the Nationals. Rockies tomorrow. Rockies were the hottest team in baseball maybe going into their last series. But they've run into Cincinnati, and the Reds have won 2 in a row. The Rockies, of course, kings of the second half surges. And Colorado has a 1-0 lead themselves in the 7th in Cincinnati. Another Travis Wood start. Guy that flirted with a perfect game. A rookie. Reds have a very good pitching staff. Dusty Baker's done a nice job. Brian Price, their new pitching coach, is to be commended. And they got Edinson Volquez back last night off his suspension. Ferris gets it out. Speaking of bullpen, remember last night in 109 pitches, JJ went just 6 innings. So, with the Cowbells clamoring for more relief, Jose Veras, Clay Hensley, and those 2 guys set up Leo Nunez. Great stuff in a 2-0 shutout. By the way, Josh Johnson's ERA is now at 1.62.
And the Veras at bat last night with Zimmerman at the plate. If you weren't watching, 3-0 count before that nasty breaking ball on full count to strike him out. That was a key at bat in the victory yesterday.
Yeah, the 3-0 pitch he hit out but foul, and then the hard slider on 3-2. They got him.
A typical Florida. Pouring rain about 4 minutes ago. Now it's bright, sunny, steamy.
Mike Morse is on deck as Nieves stands in. Roller up the middle. Hanley, and it gets under his glove into center field. We'll see if it's a hit or an error. All-you-can-eat seats coming up against the Braves on Friday night. All the hot dogs, peanuts, popcorn, nachos, and soda you can eat. Plus, you get to see Jason Hayward and the Braves. 305-626-SAVE, the number to call. It's a play that Hanley will tell you he should have made, but it is a play that is ruled a base hit.
Almost looked like he was going after it, wanting to set himself up for the flip turn.
Because he stuttered
around. He stuttered to see if he could get a good flip turn to get around to throw to first base, and I think he misjudged the speed and it just got by him.
So Nieves is aboard, and we were going to see Mike Morse, the kid from Nova High School, a Fort Lauderdale native. But with the base hit, Jim Riggleman has changed course, and it's Willie Harris. Morse is still in the game. He was never announced. It's a beautiful thing about baseball. You can put anybody you want on deck. You can put a decoy out there. You can put a guy up. And in Riggleman's case, he was thinking, guy up there with nobody on, Morse probably has a better chance to hit one out. But with a runner on, maybe Harris has a better chance to keep the inning going.
And excellent speed in Willie Harris on the base paths, if he does happen to get on.
And less likely to get doubled up. Willie Harris, a world champion with the Chicago White Sox. Cairo, Georgia.
I played with him in Baltimore.
Veras.
Big pitch.
And it's 2-1. See his career pinch hitting numbers.
Frank Fort was up here in between innings giving me grief because I was saying that I played with Brian Sanchez and Adam Dunn, and he said, who haven't you played with? It seems like I played with everybody at some point.
National League, American League. Runner goes, and it's fouled at the plate. How many different divisions did you play? And you played obviously in the National League East with the Marlins, the Phillies, and the Mets. You played in the Central with the Reds, and you played in the American League West or Central?
Central with the Royals.
With the Royals. They had divided things up by then.
Yes.
And then Baltimore, American League East.
Yeah, American League East, yeah.
That ground ball is foul. Who is the of the guys that you played with early in your career? When you got to Kansas City, was it some of the Saberhagens and the Bretts and those guys were still there?
Yeah, my first day in the big leagues in Kansas City, Sunday day game, I was on the bench with Bo Jackson, George Brett, Frank White, Danny Tartable.
Wow.
Willie Wilson.
Steve Alboni?
Nope, Alboni wasn't there.
And Harris goes around. Harris wants Bellino to ask for help, and Jim Riggleman is angry. Harris is angry. You can hear the dugout for the Nationals. As you put it earlier, all a hitter wants is for that first or third base umpire to make that decision. And Bellino, once the home plate umpire makes the call, there is no appeal. And I think the Marlins got a big break.
Got a big break there. Our argument as a hitter is, okay, you're watching the pitch come in. How can you see the bat go through the strike zone? And that's what first and third umpires are there to. There's no problem to appeal.
Ground ball. Ugla picks it up. And Veras gets some help and finishes the seventh. Tight one here with the Marlins on top. Since May 5th, 40 of the Nationals' 65 games have been decided by 2 runs or less. Riggleman is coming out right now to talk to Dan Bellino. I think he has tossed Willie Harris from this game. You saw the replay. It was a crucial spot in a 1-run game. Harris, it looked like, checked his swing. Bellino did not ask for help. He called it a swing right away, and that enraged Harris. Here's another look at it. Now the rule is, it's not does he break his wrist, it's not does he break the plane of the plate with the bat. The rule is, in the umpire's judgment, does the player make an attempt to strike at the ball? Interpret that as you may, but in that replay, Niner, I would say 95% of the time, if you appealed that, a first base or a third base umpire would say no swing.
Absolutely. And, you know, my argument as a card-carrying member of the Hitters Guild,
yes, you are,
would be as an umpire, you're watching the pitch come in, you're tracking that ball to see if it's a strike or not, and to watch a swing and to be able to calculate that closely if I went after a ball or not. I mean, most umpires will never call that. They'll always ask for help, and some do like to call it themselves.
And on the flip side, a lot of times you will see an umpire, as the Nationals have gone to their bullpen, and Joel Peralta comes in. The flip side of that is sometimes you'll see an umpire on a pitch that is actually a strike that a hitter checks his swing on, not call it a strike because he's trying to decipher swing or no swing and ask for an appeal on a pitch that should have been a called strike. I mean, and believe me, we're not saying this is easy.
To their defense, there's a lot going on there. They're trying to see a lot. There's a lot of movement. The catcher's reacting to a swing.
Here's Bonifacio. And, to be fair, breaks will go one way or the other. Marlins have had their share of breaks not go their way. The Nationals obviously had one go against them, and the Marlins took advantage of it. Here's Bonifacio. His double opened the door in the 5th for the only run of the game. He then scored on Gabby Sanchez's double. Marlins have 6 hits, 3 of them doubles. Ronnie Paulino had one in the 6th inning. Peralta takes over for Craig Stammen. He pitched very well. 1-2. In fact, both starters were good in this one. Marlins got 5 1/3 scoreless from Sanabria. Stammen went 6, gave up just the 1 run, ended up throwing 98 pitches. And Peralta buries Bonifacio with a good changeup. So, if we're doing our Land Rover game summary, we start with little Alex Sanabria. He was outstanding. Sanabria struck out 5. Here's the offense. This double by Bonifacio. Gabby trying to put it to the right side and move him to third, ended up driving him in. Visit LandRoverUSA.com. Gabby with 2 hits. And Peralta throws a strike. In the air, Dunn runs it down. Two quick outs here in the 7th inning from Peralta. Family Sunday, next Sunday, Marlins and Braves. First 5,000 fans get a Marlins manatee poster, courtesy of the Florida Department of Transportation. And kids can run the bases in the Diamond Dash. 1-877 Marlins. Do you know how, like at auto body shops, tire places, there'll be a Marlins mermaid calendar up?
Haven't been one of those lately, but I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. You see them in places like that.
Right.
Clay Hensley getting loose. Do you think like at beauty parlors and salons, the manatee posters will be up?
Yeah.
Or maybe more like an ice cream shop.
Ice cream or
a chocolate shop.
or a bakery, maybe. Maybe be featured on the next episode of Cake Boss or something like that.
Sorry. Had to go there. Hanley's up. He's 1 for 3. Got 2 hits in this series. Peralta has been in professional baseball a long time. He is 34. He's out of the Dominican Republic. He's pitched for the Angels, the Royals, and last year with the Rockies. 7 years in the minor leagues with the Angels before he got to the big leagues in 05.
Evan, although a short time so far, he's got a .82 ERA with a short stint with the Nationals, and when you watch his stuff, it doesn't look like anything spectacular, but once again, one of those pitchers that hides the ball well, and a 91-mile-an-hour fastball gets on you. It seems like much harder than that.
When you say hides the ball well, as a hitter, what's the first thing that you pick up from a pitcher? Is it the first time you see the ball come out of glove? What do you pick up first?
Well, you're looking to a spot over his right shoulder that's called his release point, and that's where you want to really focus. Some pitchers, even though they might throw 100 miles an hour, if they open up their shoulders quickly, that release point you get a free look at, and you see it a lot longer than some other pitchers that stay closed, and the ball might be behind them, and thus hiding the ball. That's what I mean about deception and hiding the ball well.
So just in watching Peralta's windup, you can see how that left shoulder stays closed almost longer than more. There's more of a hip turn, not as extreme as Louis Tion, so to speak, who was kind of the extreme.
Right, so that release point stays hidden longer than a guy that, because power pitchers usually start their unwinding process earlier. So I might see a 98-mile-an-hour fastball better than his 91 because he hides it longer, and I see his release point later, at a later time.
Changeup, Hanley was on it. Morgan's charging in, and he makes the catch. Nice play by Nigel Morgan out in center field. Nationals bullpen has been good, just like the Fish. The word Haiti to 25383 to make your $10 donation. 25383. Haiti. So Brian Peterson out in left. Clay Hensley is on the mound. Niner, get your phone out. Let's make a donation.
It's out.
All right. Cody Ross started back, now comes in, and it's going to fall for a base hit. Christian Guzman opens up the 8th with a base hit to center field. Zimmerman and Dunn to follow. Here's a look at Cody Ross.
Cody sees a big swing there. He thinks it's hit a little bit harder than it really is. Gets a bad read. Gets in it too late. Clay Hensley, unfortunately, has been the victim of a couple misreads on pop flies the last couple nights.
You see Hensley's numbers. 25383. And text the word Haiti. And away we go. My $10 are going in. Your $10 are going in.
Yep.
Nicely done. Thank you for that. It's Zimmerman. The Marlins have given their relief corps the slimmest of margins here. A 1-0 lead against the Nationals. It was Veras, Hensley, and Nunez last night that finished a 6-inning start by Josh Johnson. Brian Sanchez added to that train today. He had to get the last 2 outs of the 6th for Sanabria, but it's Veras who came in and took care of the 7th, and Hensley is charged with the 8th. He gave up the bloop hit to Guzman, and he's 2-1 on Zimmerman. Change-up, fly ball, center field. Ross goes back. He'll have room. And he makes the catch. Runner tags. Guzman goes halfway. A brilliant throw by Cody. Shy of the track, on the money to Hanley. Guzman ran, and if he saw that ball waver a little bit, I think he probably would have tried to take second.
I think so, too. He wanted to get in scoring position, tie this game up. Cody kind of coasted back there at the beginning, but he knew that when he looked down, he saw him on the move and made a perfect throw.
And that's good baseball by Guzman to start out at full speed. And if he saw Cody hesitate, or if he saw that throw offline, he would have been at second base. Now it's done.
I think, sometimes in the outfield, especially on bright sunny days like this, you get a backdrop of white shirts or seats or something like that. I think Cody Ross might be having a little bit of trouble in center field picking the ball up on those fly balls.
Breaking ball from Hensley is down low.
You don't normally see Cody Ross get too many bad jumps on anything in the air. He's usually pretty good at getting direct routes to the ball. It leads me to believe that something is maybe in the stands or distracting his view of picking the ball up.
Ross certainly is not the most spectacular center fielder in baseball. Hensley with a good breaking ball to Dunn. JM Lexus presents our leaders of the game. Most homers against righties. Dunn. Look at Votto. Adrian Gonzalez and Mark Reynolds. JM Lexus, price minus number 1, 18 years running. Click jmlexus.com. Runner goes, huge jump, ball in the dirt. Paulino's got no shot, and there's nobody at third. So a couple guys have to jog that way as Guzman steals second. Nationals have done a nice job of running in this series. Third right now in the National League in stolen bases. The Mets are the leaders. The Padres are second.
Now the shift you see Cantu, because of the runner at second, has to move back over to third base to stop a stolen base of third.
Ooh, Hensley thought He had the back door with that breaking ball. Let's take a look. That is a strike. And the count's full at 3-2. It has been a shoebox strike zone for Dan Bellino from pitch one.
At least he stayed pretty consistent all day long on this strike zone.
Well, remember, you saw the Marlins get a break on the Willie Harris check swing, which was ruled a strikeout. Nationals just got a break. And Hensley comes back and strikes out Dunn. You remember last night when we visited with Clay Hensley, and he talked about the pop-up that fell between Paulino and Cantu. He said, you know what? I just treated it as a foul ball.
Here, a great pitch inside. You see how far in front Dunn is on this pitch. It's only 70 miles an hour. What sets that up is Hensley's great arm speed. It looks like it's going to come out of his hand much more quickly than that because of his arm speed, but the way his grip is on that curveball, it comes out so slow. We saw that yesterday, too, with Livan Hernandez and him throwing up the Goonie curveball. Remember that Goonie curveball?
I remember the Goonie curveball. Who could forget? Livan's Goonie curveball. Willingham is up. But Hensley didn't let the drop pop-up bother him last night. He didn't let that call, or the non-call by Bellino, bother him here. He still has to get Willingham out.
We saw that in spring training, what kind of competitor Clay Hensley was. What you call, the bulldog on the mound. And why he's been so critical in this 8th inning setup role this year, because he's tough and he knows how to get outs.
Another strike to Willingham. And now it's 1-2 with 2 outs here in the 8th. Willingham 1 for 3. He had a big hit in game 1. 1-2 coming. That was way out.
And you wonder, with the injury to Brian Sanchez at the very end of spring training that kept him out for quite some time, the neck injury to Hensley during the middle of the year that kept him out for some time and affected his performance even leading up to that, this bullpen would have been, I think, much better performing if those two guys would have been healthy the entire time.
That being said, you have to admit that the Marlins have been one of the healthiest teams in all of baseball this year. I mean, Coughlin is out for 3 or 4 days. There really hasn't been a significant injury that has knocked a regular out, a starter out. Hensley, of course, spent some time on the disabled list. But the Marlins have been very healthy this year.
Yes, very healthy, and had their starting rotation intact.
All the way up to the All-Star break.
Which was broken by the demotion of Chris Volstad, but not because of an injury, just because of ineffectiveness.
Breaking ball. Willingham pops it up. Cantu calls for it. And he makes the catch. And Clay Hensley works a scoreless 8th. How about this bullpen? Sanchez, Veras, Hensley. Nunez is next.
about the efforts of the Marlins bullpen in relief of Alex Sanabria. We'll hear from the manager, Edwin Rodriguez, and we'll set you up for tomorrow's game against the Rockies and Ubaldo Jimenez start for Colorado. And Rich and Jeff, one other thing I wanted to bring up, there was some discussion before the game with Coghlan out of the lineup. Even though Emilio Bonifacio played a lot of center field last year for the Marlins, Edwin Rodriguez says he's just more comfortable with Cody Ross as the center fielder. And don't forget, when Bonifacio was sent to New Orleans earlier in the year, Edwin said, yeah, he played a lot of outfield for me, including left field, so he's just more comfortable with that scenario. And I think as you saw by the throw in the top of the inning, that was probably a good move.
Yeah, another thing to add that note, I asked him as well about Brian Peterson, and Peterson has played all 3 spots, but Edwin said he played a lot of left field, and left field is probably Peterson's best spot as well. So with Peterson in defensively, Ugla leads it off here in the 8th. The Marlins had a lot of trouble against Peralta in the 7th. Ugla, Cantu, and Ross will get their swings here in the bottom of the 8th in a 1-0 ball game, and it really is a head scratcher. The Marlins in their last 3.5 games have not scored a lot of runs, don't have many hits, and yet they're 2-1 in those 3 games. And if they win this one, if they win this game 1-0, they will have scored a total of 5 runs in those 4 games and gone 3-1. But a long way to go before that happens. Peralta misses up with a fastball, and it's 2-2 to Ugla. Bernardina, Kennedy, Nieves scheduled. Ugla's 0 for 3. And got a breaking ball, and he fouls it back.
Peralta dropped down there, gave a little bit different look at that breaking ball, but Dan would probably would like to see the Nationals leave town. Hitting about 180 against the Nationals this year. Not a staff he's liking to face so far.
1 for 9 in this series. That was a close one. That is a strike. At least on Fox Tracks. It has not been today. It's a high pop-up. Zimmerman wandering over. The wind is pushing it back, and it ends up in the seats. But you know, there are teams, and it's become a much wider practice in baseball, that is, along with scouting reports on the opposing team, present scouting reports for each umpire and each umpire's strike zone.
And, you know, you got to know these guys. You got to know what their strike zones were like. There were umpires, you know, that were a pitcher's umpire that would give that extra few inches off the plate that you knew you had to be a little more aggressive that night. You knew other guys that were pretty true to the strike zone, other guys that were a little tight on the strike zone. So, yeah, you're right. Now that, you know, the scouting is in, they've got all these Fox Tracks, and they've got computerized programs that will track every pitch on certain umpires to tell you what they're calling, what they aren't calling. When I was playing, they didn't have that. We just kind of knew by seeing these guys so often that what they would call and what they wouldn't call.
As a hitter, was it easier to adjust to a bigger strike zone or a smaller strike zone?
Smaller strike zone. You knew that they had to be almost on the white part of the plate in order to be called a strike. So you'd be able to let those close pitches that were off the plate go.
3-2 Ugla. Fastball ripped it to third. Zimmerman is put on a clinic, and he throws it away. Ugla has to run through an umpire and Adam Dunn and finds his way to second. Wow, Zimmerman has made some spectacular plays, but all of a sudden he botches one, and watch Ugla as he tries to get to second.
This one was not even close. He had all day, and he threw it 10 feet wide of the bag. I don't know what happened there, if he had a bad grip.
Watch this. This is back to Uggla's running back days. Around the end and inside the tackle. That is an error on the Gold Glover. As we told you coming into this series, these are two teams that defensively have been challenged this year. That's putting it mildly. So an E5 and now a big opportunity to add to this 1-0 lead. Here's Cantu with a runner at second and nobody out. Cantu usually pretty good in this spot at pushing the ball to the right side. Like that.
Good try. And this is a time where late in the ball game, 8th inning, that's a big run sitting out there. You know, you'd like to be the guy that gets the base hit to drive him in, but as a team guy, you'd like to contribute and get him over there with a productive out. And a player's got to know his own game, too. If Jorge Cantu is like he was in April, basically driving in anybody that was on base, you know, you wouldn't be opposed to him go ahead and trying to get him in with whatever it takes. But as you go along as your season and you're struggling a little bit, you want to help the team out and you want to get this guy over any way you can.
And again, he tries to take that breaking ball to the right side. It's 0-2.
You know what, your teammates see that, your effort at the plate too, and they will congratulate you as much for getting a guy a ground ball to second base to get him over than they would as an RBI. You know, they know if you're struggling or not. They know you're trying to help the team out, and they're all pulling for Jorge right now. They know he tried twice there to get this guy over. Now with 2 strikes, you got to do what you can. I mean, an inside pitch, inside fastball, you can't really get that over to the right side as easily.
Well, he got a fastball on the outside part, and he missed it. So a big strikeout for Peralta, our Jaguar performer of the game. How about the 21-year-old making a second Major League start, Alex Sanabria? He knew going in that he had just an 80-pitch limit because of his time in the bullpen. They want to ramp him back up, and he made the most of it, Jeff. 5 1/3 innings.
Outstanding. You see the changeup, the command of the changeup there to righties and lefties. Got him some big strikeouts in big situations. Runners on in scoring position, runners on base. Great job by the rookie.
Nationals are going to walk Cody Ross and pitch to Mike Stanton. Stanton is 0 for 2. He's bounced out twice and walked. Ross is 1 for 3. Singled and struck out and bounced out. There might not be too many more times in his career where Mike Stanton has someone intentionally walked in front of him. Obviously, at 20, he's a developing player. And with the strikeouts that he's had in his first 3 weeks in the big leagues, Nationals see that, know that. But I would say this, that Stanton's strikeouts in his last 6-7 ball games have been curtailed.
That's a good sign when you start putting the ball in play more. He's not as haphazard in his swings. He's walking.
He's walked 4 times in this series.
Season, you see the season with runners in scoring position. He's actually almost 300.
So the Nationals gambling a bit. Leo's in the pen. Marlins a 1-0 lead. Stanton against Peralta.
But a good move there by Riggleman. You put the double play in order. He's hit 2 ground balls already today.
That looked like a changeup or almost a split finger for a strike.
And I'm sure in their pregame meeting they said, okay, this guy, you need to be careful. Even though he's not swinging the bat that well, he's striking out a lot. He's got a 220 average, but you got to be careful because make a mistake to him, it'll travel a long ways.
Check swing. there's no appeal to first. The Nationals asked for an appeal, and of course they're still probably a little bit sore about the Willie Harris strikeout. It's a ball and a strike. Breaking ball popped up. Dunn. It's playable, and Dunn is there to make the catch. Uggla forced Dunn to throw it across the diamond. So Stanton pops out. And for now, that intentional walk works. Let's see what Paulino can do. Remember, Peterson is in the 9 spot, so he is on deck. A double, a walk, and a fly ball to center for Paulino. Ronnie had the big hit last night. Now he's a guy that has enjoyed hitting against the Nationals.
He does not mind hitting against the Nationals. 364 clip. And he's gotten so many big hits. You know, you look at the numbers and they're not outrageous, but a lot of those RBIs have put the Marlins ahead or gave them the lead late in the game.
One nothing. Again, the Marlins having trouble scoring runs. But again, the Marlins getting good starting pitching and great bullpen. Outside corner. 1-2. Only run of the game came in the bottom of the 5th on Gabby Sanchez RBI double. Sanchez 2 for 3 in this ball game. Two and two. We saw the A team out of the Nationals bullpen on Friday night. Drew Storen and Matt Capps.
That was a game that I think if you could blueprint it, Jim Riggleman loved the way that one worked out for him.
Yeah, he just needs 4 more Strasburgs, and that would help. Bernardina in right, he makes the catch, and the Marlins are done in the 8th. Leo Nunez needs to protect a 1-0 lead. runs, 11 hits last night, and no runs. In this one, both teams have 6 hits, but the Marlins have the only run. The Nationals have stranded 8. The Marlins have stranded 10. And Nunez comes in and tries to shut the door on Washington.
18 runners stranded on base and 1 run.
That's amazing.
Similar to last night, the Nationals had 10 or 11 left on base. The Marlins had 7 or 8, and only 2 runs scored.
11 hits for the Nationals last night. Bernardina, an 0 for 3 day. Nunez with that changeup is quickly out in front, 0-2. Leo Nunez last night was sharp, struck out a couple. Nunez picked up his 21st save of the ball game. And after those 2 blown saves at the start of the monster road trip, Nunez has been outstanding. And that would be strike 3. Power changeup that comes in 89 miles an hour.
Look at the movement on that. A lot of guys would love to have a fastball that moves that well, and he's throwing it as a changeup. Today, Washington 0 for 9 with men in scoring position. Florida only 1 for 10 with men in scoring position.
That has to change for the Marlins this week because Colorado can score runs.
Hot team coming in. They have a tall order tomorrow night.
Ground ball into center field. That's a base hit. So the Nationals have the tying run on with 1 out. It's Adam Kennedy who singles. Remember, they got Pudge in that dugout. Mike Morse, the Fort Lauderdale kid, is in that dugout as well. Ubaldo Jimenez. Moneyball Sanchez. That's tomorrow night. Well, Colorado can score runs, but not today. They have a 1-0 lead in the 9th inning. That game is in Cincinnati. Chris Iannetta has accounted for the only run, a 6th inning homer. So the Rockies, who have dropped the first 2 games of that series with the Reds, have a 1-0 lead, 9th inning. Atlanta beating Milwaukee 8-3. The Brewers have won 2 in a row against the Braves. Here's Morse now. Nova High School. Nunez starts with a fastball for a strike.
It's nice to see him establish that fastball, even though Kennedy got the base hit on a fastball. Establishes that thing so that makes that changeup even more effective.
Morse originally drafted by the Chicago White Sox, then traded to Seattle with Miguel Olivo and Jeremy Reed in exchange for Freddie Garcia and Ben Davis. Then Washington traded to get him from Seattle for Ryan Langerhans, our director Jim Hawley's favorite player. Kennedy is not a prototypical base stealer at first. Nunez to the plate. That's line into right field. A base hit. Stanton approaches. Kennedy around second. Slips. Hanley tags. Got him. He's out. Great play by Stanton. Great play by Hanley. And for the second time in this series, a veteran player, Adam Kennedy, has made a huge mistake on the bases.
You see this, a line drive bullet to the right fielder. You know, as a runner at first base, there's no chance you're going to go to third base. No reason to be aggressive going around second base right there. Even though he slipped, he shouldn't have been that aggressive. Hanley makes a great tag, great play. I think the argument there was more out of embarrassment than it was knowing that you got your hand in there.
What a huge play by Mike Stanton. Something is going on. The umpires one of the umpires, Paul Nauert, is coming to talk to Edwin Rodriguez about something. Jim Riggleman came out to argue the play. And I'm not sure what's going on right now. Pudge is going to come up and pinch hit. The Nationals are going to pinch run with Justin Maxwell. I don't know if Kennedy was thrown out of the game, if the umpires were just acknowledging that to the Marlins skipper or not. But there are 2 outs. Maxwell, who is a speedy runner, is at first base. And here's Pudge now in the 9 spot, making a pinch hitting appearance. And Nunez misses down low.
Pudge hits a 263 clip lifetime as a pinch hitter. This year he's 1 for 4. Kids on a Kids Sunday, that last play by Mike Stanton. I mean, as an outfielder, you get the ball, it comes to you quickly, you get rid of it quickly, you hit your cutoff man, and your job is done. Did an excellent job of hitting his cutoff man. There was a mistake made on the base paths, and it leads to a huge out with only a 1-run ball game and a man in scoring position.
Remember, it was Kennedy last night that tried to score from second on that ground ball up the middle to Ugla. And Ugla threw him out by 10 feet. Maxwell almost got picked off. Boy, what a way that would have been to end a ball game. You know what? He looked like he was out.
That was
very, very close. Pudge fouls it. And the count is 1-1. See Pudge asking Dan Bellino if that was a ball or a strike. One and one. Maxwell from first. This time he's in with a little more ease.
This stage of the game, you're going to see the Marlins outfielders playing very deep, almost on the track, and also they're basically playing a no doubles prevent defense. They don't want the guy on second base, or a guy on first base. They don't want to go a ball over their head that would allow the runner from first to score. Keep everything in front of him. Make him get at least 2 hits to score the runner.
Nunez changeup, such movement. That one tied up Ivan Rodriguez. Justin Maxwell, the pinch runner at first. He got him! Ball game, and the Marlins have back-to-back shutouts. The bullpen superb. A big defensive play by Mike Stanton. And the Marlins win this series. They take 2 of 3 from Washington. They open up this crucial homestand by taking the final 2 games of this series. Steven Strasburg beat him on Friday. A JJ night last night. Our South Florida Ford spotlight on the Marlins bullpen and on Leo Nunez. Save number 22 for Nunez. But again tonight, Brian Sanchez, Jose Veras, Clay Hensley, all in relief of Alex Sanabria, and Nunez shuts the door. And the Fish win it 1-0. Some finishing touches after this.